Россотрудничество. You know it's hard to spell it, but okay. So we are doing this live broadcast with our representatives, representative of Russian houses all over the world. And today we are going to a very beautiful, to very special, to very awesome, I think, country. We are talking about India. We are talking about India with Mr. Oleg Osipov. Hello, Oleg, how are you?
Good evening, namaste. I'm fine, thank you, Oscar.
Yeah, you are in Nью-Дели, aren't you?
Yes, you're correct. New Delhi, the capital of India.
The capital of India. Very good, very nice. And as always, I want to talk about, firstly, about you, about your career in Russian houses, about your relations with India. So tell our followers, subscribers about you.
Well, it's the first time that I came to India to work, but I have already been in India 54 years ago with my parents. My father was a TASS reporter. He knew English, Urdu, and Hindi, and he has worked for 9 years in India. So when I was a little boy, I was with my parents. Half a century after that, I came back, and I tell all the Indians whom I meet that I came home.
And when did you start work in Россотрудничество for Russian houses? What about your career? How you became the head, the representative of our team in India?
So I graduated from the Moscow State University in the 80s, and then I have worked for 18 years in the TASS news agency, and 7 years I have worked in Italy. And in 2010, I was invited to go again to Italy to open the Russian house in Rome. And so I stayed there for another 8 years. The Russian house was opened, and I was the director of the Russian house in Rome from 2010 till 2019. Now I'm here in India.
So very good. And can you tell us, is India from your childhood different from modern India? Is there any difference, or are there maybe the same thing that you still remember from that time?
Yes, you know, when I stepped out from the airplane this time, when I came 1 month ago to India, I remembered the smells in the air, the flowers, the trees, other types of smells that I remembered 54 years ago. But of course, I don't remember how India was at that time because I was a little boy. But one thing remained the same. It's the famous ambassador cars which have been produced in India since the years 50s, and they are still here in the streets. Some of them are climatized, and so it's very nice to see them again.
Yeah, that's fine. That's great. And not about you, about our countries. My next question is about our countries, about relations between our countries. How can you characterize, especially in the field of culture, in humanitarian sphere?
In the humanitarian sphere, well, what can I say? That India has always been in the 20th century a very important place for us. Throughout the 20th century, Russia retained big interest in India, and this interest has found expression in works of many Russian poets, artists, and musicians. I'm speaking about the 20th century. Well, moreover, this interest deepened over time. Russian authors, their works not only showed the reader the image of India as a land of wonders, as you said, but also introduced Russians to the basics of Indian philosophy, religion, literature, and culture. It should also be remembered about the life and work of the two Rurichs, Nikolai and Sviatoslav, father and son, famous artists and public figures. In the village of Nagar in northern India, the International Roerich Memorial Trust was established. The board of trustees of the foundation includes, among others, the Russian ambassador to Delhi and the head of the Russian house. In the city of Trivandrum, down in the south of India, where one of the 5 Russian houses in India is located, a monument to Sviatoslav Roerich had been opened. I think that we here in Delhi will work to open a monument in Delhi and name one of the streets of the Indian capital after Roerich.
That's great. And about your other activities, the activities of Russian House in New Delhi. So you are here not for a while, only just for a month, but what plans do you have? What projects will continue? What will do Russian House in New Delhi in the next 2 months, 3 months? What is in your mind about it?
Well, before I answer this question, I would like to say one thing. We, the Russian House in India, we do the same things as foreign cultural centers from other countries, like the Italian Institute of Culture in Delhi, the Goethe Institute somewhere in the Commonwealth of Independent States, I don't know, l'Institut Français in Ivory Coast, etc., etc. I would like to mention this thing, that the European Union has imposed sanctions on Россотрудничество in its 7th package, but no sanctions have been taken by the European Union on its own cultural centers. And I think that's double standards. And as answering your question, I would like to say that, yes, we're here to promote culture, language, university education, achievements of domestic science, support of compatriots, the Russian-speaking community in India. Well, we're now preparing for the nearest months. We're now preparing for the next country conference of compatriots. When and where it will be held, we haven't decided yet. We are waiting for the right moments. We are preparing several other cultural events, so follow our announcements in Facebook and other socials, and you'll be well informed.
Yeah, that's great. And I can tell from my heart, I can say it. So when Mr. Oleg came to India, our work, the work of Russian houses in India, became much more active. So we all the time came new big great news, great quotes from different public thinkers about Russian Indian cultural relations, about sanctions, you say it, and so on. And about promoting of Russian culture. Are Indians interested in Russian cultures? What is close to them in the big culture, maybe some writers like Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, we are talking about them a lot of, I think in every hour broadcast we are talking about them. Something different maybe. What can you tell us about it?
Well, I'm only 1 month here, so for now, for me, it is easier to answer the other way around, how popular Indian culture is in Russia. Nevertheless, Tchaikovsky is very popular in India. I think that almost every person above 30 years knows about Tolstoy, Chekhov, and Dostoevsky. Well, our cultural ties with India have a long history. I know personally Indians who feel at home in Russia, and I know Russians who feel at home in India. I know them personally. Today I spoke with the Vice Chancellor of the Jawaharlal Nehru University, Professor Pandit. It's a lady. She was born in Leningrad and graduated from at that time, Leningrad State University, LGU. Well, communicating with her, I once again became convinced of the importance of contacts between people and trips to visit each other. And you know that Россотрудничество has several programs about exchanging youth from one country to Russia. And of course, Indians are very fond of our ballet cinema. We are preparing some events concerning these two spheres of culture, ballet and cinema. For example, we would like to make a cinema festival of the BRICS countries. So we will show one film of each country: South Africa, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. There will be no politics, just interesting films about these countries.
You want to make it there in New Delhi or somewhere
else?
Yes,
in New Delhi. I have already contacted some representatives of these countries.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Will it be so, like, serious highbrow films, or like normal films, like for everyone, like action or something like this?
There will be only films for everyone, for the public. No politics, as I said, no ideology, just films describing each of these 5 countries, so that the others could understand, could see what life is in these countries. So we'll have to find 5 nice films from every country.
Yeah, that's great. By the way, dear friends, if you are watching us online, not on YouTube, we always post our records to YouTube and Facebook later. So if you are watching us online, you can write comments, so you can ask us something, what you want to hear, what you want to know. You can ask us everything, and we will try to give you an answer. So when we are waiting for your questions, next question is mine. Of course, I'm asking here questions as much as I can. So about culture, about Russian history, in this year, we are celebrating the very big date. Actually, it is 350 years. 350 years ago, Peter the Great, Peter the First, was born, and are Indians interested in the figure of this great man, in the figure of this great Russian Tsar?
Well, yes, 350 years from the birth of Peter the Great, the Tsar, emperor of all Russia, and the first emperor of all Russia. It may seem that this historic figure had no relation to India, because he had concentrated on the west and northwest parts of Russia, Sweden, and the East Europe, etc., etc. But there is one interesting fact. You know that Peter the Great reigned from 1682 to 1725. At that time, the states of Western Europe, which had a developed fleet, managed to colonize almost all known overseas lands. However, this didn't bother the Tsar. He decided to make the Indian Ocean a zone of Russian influence. And one of the targets of this maneuver was India, with its richest resources. In 1723, on the orders of Tsar Peter, his Vice Admiral Daniel Jacob Wilster, he was from Denmark by birth, led a secret expedition around Africa to conquer first Madagascar and then establish relations with the Mughal Empire in India. But that expedition of Wilster was very badly prepared, and his ships returned to Russia, making only halfway to India. So Russia didn't reach India. I suppose personally that there was something that the manager of this expedition was a Dane from Denmark. So historians should confirm this my proposal. And as for the expedition itself, forced colonization of these countries by Russia was not envisaged by Tsar Peter. Everything at the time had to be based on peaceful treaties. Madagascar was planned to be used as a transit point on the way to Bengal, as India was called at the old days. India itself, of course, represented an object where it was profitable to purchase a big variety of goods due to their inexpensive price in the place, and then reselling them in Europe, in Russia. But that expedition failed, and so we had no more ties at that time, very long ago, with India. So that was Peter's role in trying to make India closer to Russia.
Yeah, well, that's great. Thanks. We have a question for our Indian follower. He or she said, I'm a resident of Delhi and huge fan of Russia. My question to Mr. Oleg is why there are so few public offline events organized by the Russian House Delhi. Considering the huge territory and very long and diverse history of Russia, just a few scarce events don't do justice to it at all. So how can you comment it?
I promise to improve. I think that this was caused by the COVID, because for 2 years, all activity in New Delhi and in India was blocked. I think that my dear friend who made this question knows better than me that the streets were blocked in Delhi. No cars were in the streets. Even now, people walk wearing masks in Delhi. And I think that's one of the main reasons for that. I promise that the activity of Russian Center will intensify.
Okay, that's great. And I hope that COVID restrictions will be end soon. So, dear lady or dear sir, please follow Russian House on Facebook or Instagram, and someday, of course, there will be an offline event, and I hope that you will meet with Mr. Oleg personally, and I hope that you will be that you became great friends with him. So the next question. Maybe our followers from India, they have seen it. We write the post on our Facebook about Russian Kremlin. So every one of you knows that there is a Russian Kremlin, the Great Kremlin, the place where our President Vladimir Putin is sitting. And there is a question, but there are actually Kremlins, much more little in all of the great cities of Russia. Is there any common thing in India about Indian cities? So maybe was it interesting for your followers because of these common cultural things?
I think there is much in common in all ancient cities, in the construction, in the way they were built. The typical ancient Indian settlement consisted of 3 parts, I think, like all other cities, ancient cities in other parts of the world. First, it's the citadel or fortress. Then there was the upper city and the lower city, the upper and the lower part of the city. Well, in this country, in India, for thousands of years, not centuries of years, a society was castified, what do you call it? People belonged to different castes. So the houses closest to the citadel belonged to noble people, of course. And these houses were physically separated by a wall from the quarters of the city where the poor lived. So it's the same thing that was in Europe and in Russia. But for example, I recently read about a very interesting city of Lotal in India, for example, which was absolutely different from other cities in the ancient world. It was founded 4,000 years ago, imagine. And this citadel was located. The citadel of the city was located not in the center of the town, but at the maximum distance from the coastline. It was on the shore. And the border between the so-called upper and lower cities ran along a straight, wide street. Why? Because that made possible to avoid floodings of residential areas. So the main principle was the citadel, the upper and the lower city, but due to local circumstances, they built cities according to their necessities.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. We have another great comment to our broadcast. So this is, I think, not a question, but a comment from Aditya Srivastava. So she, I think it is she, Aditya, but maybe it is he. I don't know. I'm not very good in Indian culture. I'm very sorry. So please don't blame me very much. So there is a comment. We need to have more activities and cultural exchange programs, especially movie and food events. This is interesting because, you know, we all know something about Indian cuisine, and I think Indian cuisine is completely different from Russian cuisine, completely different. And what do you think? You are there for a month, but maybe you haven't answered to my question. So why some of our Indian followers may be so interested in Russian food events?
Sorry, could you repeat it?
Yeah, so why, so Russian cuisine and Indian cuisine are completely different.
Yes.
So nothing there such, not so much same points. And a follower, an Indian follower, Russian house in New Delhi wants more food events, some events that are about food in your Russian house in New Delhi. So why it can be?
Yes, of course, Indian and Russian cuisine, they're very different. They use a lot of pepper here. So once you taste one dish, and when you pass to another dish, you may not feel the taste of the other dish because your mouth is burning already. It's not the way we are used to. We have already talked about staging cuisine festivals, Russian cuisine festivals in India and even in our Russian house. Even today, when we made a visit to the Jawaharlal Nehru University, we decided to stage together the Maslenitsa festival in the spring of the next year with pancakes. The students, we even decided that students who have better marks will pay less for the pancakes, and that's one of the ideas that we have. We have also other ideas, and I agree with you absolutely that this idea of cuisine is unifying people very much, because when people are at the table, at the common table, they feel themselves good. They always smile. Sometimes they drink a little, and so it's a very important thing to unite people. I do agree with you, and thank you for the idea. We will promote it.
So will you put pepper on your pancakes for Maslenitsa?
We will make different pancakes without pepper, with just a little bit of pepper, and with lots of pepper.
That's fine. That's great. So about India is a very big country, and actually we have 5 cultural centers, 5 Russian houses in India. So what can you tell us about them? What is there? Is there something interesting? What are they doing? Is there some differences between them?
Well, for the past month, I have already seen some interesting things in India. For example, local customs, which, as they say, vary greatly depending on the region of the country. They say that Indians never say no. That instead of no, they use different kinds of replies. They may say maybe. In some parts of the country, people say no, but at the same time, they offer an alternative. Well, in other parts of the country, people say no when already asking a question. So it's a question made in negative form. In other places, people just stay quiet. They don't reply, but they just smile. Some people say, I will try, and so on. Well, there is another thing I would like to mention. I'm speaking to an English-speaking audience, but probably some Russians hear me, I hope. Please, my dear friends, don't mix Hindus and Indians. Don't say that India is populated with Hindus. India is populated with Indians. You may be a Hindu, but not an Indian. You may be an Indian, but not a Hindu. So it's the same thing in Russia. В Индии живут не индусы, а индийцы. Please remember it. It's very, so in that way you will respect the population of this great country.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks. My question was a little bit different. Maybe I misspelled something. I'm very sorry for it, but your answer was great. I actually asked about our Russian houses, about Россотрудничество offices in India. We have 5 of them there.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Yes,
so,
correct.
Yeah, great. What about them? What are they doing? Do they the same programs everywhere, same events, or are they completely different? What can you tell us? So, because as I know, Russian house in New Delhi is a main Russian house. So the other Russian houses are like, I cannot say the second class, but you are a first. But you are first among the. But you are first among them. So.
Well, yes, there are 5 Russian houses in India: New Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, Chennai, and Trivandrum. They are all situated in different parts of India, and India, occupying the whole peninsula of Hindustan, is a large, enormous country. It's not even a country; it's a civilization. It's a world. It's a separate world. So each of our 5 Russian centers works in special conditions, not equal conditions. They work in different universes, I would say. So it is very good that we have 5 different Russian houses in different parts of India. Our programs are not the same. I cannot say that we do some cultural events, then it goes to another cultural Russian house, then it goes to the 3rd Russian house, the same thing. No, some things, yes. For example, recently we have organized with our partner, Roseducation, a Russian educational fair, which made a tour around all these 5 Russian houses. So this is an example of an event that is held in all the same events held in all the houses. But according to the local conditions, every house prepares and conducts its own events. So there may be something held in Chennai and nowhere else. For example, the International Chess Olympiad, which is now on in Chennai, if I'm not mistaken. It's not over. Yes, it will end. No, it has ended. It has ended. Sorry. No, it has not ended. It will end 10th of August. And of course, Chennai is in the middle of this situation. So they're close to it. They hold chess Olympiads. They probably meet with the chess players, etc., etc. It doesn't concern Delhi. It doesn't concern Mumbai because we are staying at another place. And the same thing, if something happens in the state of Maharashtra, capital Mumbai, of course, our Russian center in Mumbai is involved in these things. As I said, it's another world. There's another population, another ethnical composition of the state. They speak other languages. You know, there are lots of languages. If I'm not mistaken, around 1,000 languages in India, and they're different countries. And as for the role of the Russian center in New Delhi is to represent Russia and to act in this part of India. It's the most northern Russian center of India, 600 kilometers from the Himalaya mountains. But of course, there should be someone who coordinates activities of all Russian centers in India. It doesn't mean that we give orders to them, but we represent, all of us, we represent Russia, and our task here in Delhi is to coordinate the activity of all these centers. I repeat, it's not by orders, it's by advice, by discussing things, by telephoning each other and resolving problems.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you very much for your answer. We have next question from our follower. If a passionate Russian fan like me is really eager to attend all your future events, including private events at the Russian House Delhi, then what do I need to do? Would you graciously welcome and assist?
Even private events.
Even private.
I don't think we have lots of private events, but as our activity will speed up, we will inform you in our social networks about all our activities. The entrance to Russian House is open, so you may come and participate at any exhibition, at any other type of event, film screening, I don't know, photographic exhibition, everything. You may also go to our Russian language courses. If you have children, you may invite them to our ballet school. We have also a chess school at the Russian center. So it's all open for the public. It's not for those who, it's not for private use, as you said. Sorry.
So that's great. You've mentioned language courses. So what about them? Are a lot of Indians attend them? Is there a big interest in Russian language? Why do people learn Russian in India?
Well, I should confess that the number of those who attend Russian courses in the Russian house has diminished. I think it's mainly because of the COVID restrictions. 2 years ago, when COVID started, we had five times more students at our Russian courses than we have now. We tried to make them online, and they proceeded in that way. But gradually, the number of students diminished. That's because it's harder to make this kind of activity online. So now we hope that COVID steps away, and we are now looking for new teachers. We're now looking for new students of our Russian languages, for the courses of Russian language. And I hope that we will regain and even have more students than we had before the COVID. The problem is that many teachers of Russian language, Russian-speaking teachers, most of them are women, went away to Russia because of the COVID. And so we have to look for new teachers. And the situation is not so good, I must confess. And so my main task now, today, yesterday, tomorrow, is to find high-level Russian teachers for our Russian language courses. If we don't find Russian teachers, then we will apply to Indian universities and ask them to give us their Indian teachers of Russian language. Today, I have spoken with some of them. They speak fluent Russian, they are Indians, they have graduated from Russian universities, and so I think they will be good professors, teachers of Russian language. So we are hoping that we will regain the level that we had. And of course, I know that teaching the language is one of the main goals, not ours, but of every cultural institution in every country. As I said, Goethe, Institute Cervantes, first of all, they teach Spanish. Goethe Institute, first of all, teaches German, etc., etc. It's one of the main needs, one of the main, I should say, main things to promote one country in another country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. By the way, we were talking about Russian language, about Russian-speaking Indians, and my question is a little bit personal. So you were in India for 1 month. Did you learn something in local languages? In the beginning, you said namaste. Namaste, it means hello.
Namaste. Namaste.
Yes. Something else?
No, I am, I'm accumulating information. When I am present at the, among the Indian audience, I take a pen, I take a piece of paper, a sheet of paper, and I'm writing what I've heard. Then I go to a person who speaks in Hindi and Russian, and I ask this person, what did they say? What did they say? They explain it to me. Now I know some words. For example, Nahim is no. Well, November means in November, and so that kind of things. I would wish to start speaking Hindi.
So you are really passionate about Indian, about local language. That's great. I think that it is very important when we are talking about cultural contact, because we are not just giving Indians Russian culture, we are taking something from them, from their great.
It's a mutual process, of course.
Yeah, of course. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for our broadcast. It was very nice to talk to you. I think it was very great, and there were Indian followers who follow us, who has asked questions. Thank you very much for this Friday evening. It's also a little bit late in New Delhi. What time is it in New Delhi?
In New Delhi, it's not too late. It's just 7 p.m.
7 p.m. So life is just
Friday only starts in India.
So that's great. And also thanks for all our followers who are watching us, who will watch us on YouTube. Always remember the one thing. There's one thing that I say always in the end of our broadcasts. Russia is with you. So goodbye. Have a nice evening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.